Alright, in this video I'm going to add more detail to each of these corbels, and I'm also going to transfer them into a family environment. And the advantage there is that I can go in and I can make fine adjustments or fine tuning to the individual family, and it would update that family anywhere that I've applied this throughout my project. So if I go look at the picture again, that corbel steps back and then it has kind of a smaller piece down here at the very bottom. That's the detail that I'm going to add in this case. And we're going to start off by taking just one of these corbels, and we have to do something that I have to confess is just entirely strange. It's a method that I've developed when I want to take something out of my project and put it into a family. And I don't think that Revit was ever really intended, that the makers of Revit never really intended for us to do things that way. But I found a nice workaround, and I think it's a great trick. I think it's worth knowing about. So I'm going to show that to you. What we need to do is first get this down on the ground, because that's where families are usually created, down on a reference level. And let me just show you what would happen if we don't do this the right way. I think it'll help explain why I have to go through such a rigorous process. To begin with, I'm going to create a new family. So go File, New Family. And we're going to use the generic model, and we want to go to a face-based. This is my favorite template. It's the one that I use probably 90% of the time. And when you open it up, you're inside of a family environment where all you have is a plane that you can start building on. This is more or less just a host, and it won't show up in the final product, but it's just there to give us a surface to start building on. Now, if I go back to my project and I select the family that I've built, I'm going to hit Control-C for copy, and then I'll go to the new project, and we're looking down at the host, and I'm just going to use Control-V to paste it in. It says, well, you can't copy between family and project. Okay, well, that's no good. What if I go inside and I try to edit this? And I think I'll have to ungroup one of these in order for this to work. So I'm just going to ungroup that. And then I'm going to do Control-C for copy, because this is inside of that modeling environment. So now maybe it will let me copy. Let's go back. We'll do Control-V again. And sure enough, it's actually letting me. I don't see anything, but I'm going to go ahead and click anyways. It says nothing that you created is visible in this plan view. Well, how about in 3D? Ah, there it is. It's just that it's all the way up there, and there's no way to actually rotate it so that it would attach to this host properly. So it's almost a lost cause already at that point. There's no reason to proceed. So then I go back to my project, and this is the technique that I figured out. If we just simply come down here onto the ground and create a brand new component, I'll do model in place again, and once again a generic model. And all I'm looking for is something down on the ground, just a little box on the ground. And you might have to set up your work plane first. So I'll say set work plane to the first floor, and I'll just draw a little box. Oops. And accept it again. Okay, and all I did was I just created a surface, kind of like that host in our other family. I just mimicked the host. Now I'll go back to this one. We're going to get back inside this family. I'll select one of these, and I'm going to pick a new host, or pick a new work plane. Make sure that you select the face option, and then you can just move your cursor down here, and it will attach itself to that new host. Okay. And then we'll accept the model. And having reoriented it like that then allows me to copy this and paste it into a family. It is facing the wrong direction, but that's not really a problem. I can just rotate it. So I select. I'm still, I believe, inside the family editor. Oh, no, I guess I'm not. I think I have to get back inside the family editor, or sorry, the model in place editor. So if I select this and it selects everything, I'm not there. I'll just double click anywhere. Now I'm inside where I can edit this model. I'm going to just select the one down here on the ground. I'm ignoring all the other ones up top. Control C for copy. Then I go back to my reference level for the family environment and Control V for paste. And there it is. Sure enough, it's upside down, but I'll just rotate that around. Rotate it around. And the advantage of having done it this way from the start is that I was able to build it in the model with the walls and the context, and I could get the scale just right. But I didn't add too much detail. I'm saving that for this family area. So now I think I just got to position this thing. I'll put it right here in the center. And you have to decide where you want the crosshairs to be in relationship to your model. Wherever you click when you place this, that's where the crosshairs will be. So in my case, I would be placing it by clicking somewhere and placing it at the bottom of the object. And I probably ought to do the top. I think I'm going to switch that around and just move this down. It's not really wanting to align very well, so I'm going to move it up a little higher and then type in AL for align, select my reference plane. No, that's no good. You can't do that. I'll just have to do MV for move, and then I can move it and let it snap to my reference plane or snap to the crosshair. Okay, now that I'm to this point, I'm ready to add in a little more detail. And the thing that I notice is that my corbel is thickest up higher, and then it sort of drops down towards the bottom. So let's use a detail line, so to speak. There are no detail lines in a family environment, but there is a regular line. So I'll type in LI for line, and it looks as though I've lost those 3 spaces that I had down here at the bottom when I was creating this in my project. I'm going to have to redo that part. That's not a big deal. I'll just type in AR for array, and I'll move this down. I want this to be the last one in the series, and I want 3 of them. Actually, I think I want 4 of them. 4 lines give me 3 spaces, and then I'm just going to move that up. They're not going to be red anymore, but that's okay. All right, and first thing I'll do is just grab the grip here and pull that back. And I've shortened the whole thing now. And I'm going to finish modeling down here in these spaces. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3 steps. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and create the next extrusion, which is just a box that's going to line up. This is kind of hard to get it to align. It won't snap in place, so sometimes I like to pull my cursor up where I can see it align and snap, and then I'll just grab this and pull it down. Okay, let's look at it from here so that I can accept the extrusion, and then I can either just visually change its height, or I can plug in a number over here. Let's try it at 7 inches. Okay, that looks good. And then it's really just more of the same. Just going to repeat that process. As a matter of fact, I can just copy this one, CO for copy. I'll move that down and give that a different distance. Let's go with 5 inches on that one. And then for my last one, I'll copy it one more time. And this one needs to come in on the sides. And it's a little bit tricky to know, is it symmetrical if I just pull it in. So I can use LI once again and draw myself a line which will be my target, and then I can mirror this about the center. Here are my mirror commands. One of them, I just pick a line, which would be that center crosshair, so I'm going to use that one. Mirror, and then just, I had that line selected, by the way, before I clicked on mirror. Now I'll click on the crosshair. There it is. And let's see, I confused myself. This is the one that I need to pull inward until it hits those lines like that. And then we'll just change our distance one more time. We'll make this one 3 inches thick. And there we go. We've added in the additional detail. You got to make sure to delete these lines because they're 3-dimensional lines. In a way, that's bad. That means they carry over into the next project. All right, I've got my family, and I've only got one of them. let's go ahead and test this out, and then I'll show you how to do an array just like we did before when we were modeling in place. First thing is that you do have to save this because you have to give it a name. So I'm going to save it as a family, and I'll name this Corbel. You want to navigate to somewhere that you can keep this safely on your OneDrive within the class, probably the class folder that you've created, VDC 400. And I'm going to call mine Corbel. Save over the top of my old one. Yes, I want to replace that. And then we'll load it into the project. And it looks like it's not going to accept it because I named my first one Corbel, so that's okay. We'll just name this one something new. Family, we'll call this one Corbel 1. Save. Then load it into the project. And I'm still inside of this other model in place that I created, so I think first thing I need to do is finish that. And then I don't see the new Corbel. Well, it's going to be under architecture component, place a component. See, there's two ways of getting my Corbels now. Either I model it in place or I place a component, and it's going to show up in this list of components. Let's hope it's oriented properly, and it looks like it is. It's oriented straight up and down. Okay, and what it's doing is it's twisting and turning in other directions. This thing can be hosted on any surface. So as I move about the building, it's just rotating itself to match. And I really do want it to be right over the top of one of these other ones because I know the other ones are already in the right position. And at this point, I'm just going to move those out of the way. I mean, I'm almost ready to just delete them, but we'll just go with this for now. Okay, let's look at it a little further back and then in the front. Okay, that is correct. And of course, I could just array this all the way across, and that would work out great. And then I'd have to go and do that in the other areas, or I could just copy this over and make it work out that way. Well, I've got a better solution. Some of you might just decide, okay, you've got the direction, you know what to do, you might be done watching the video. But what I'm going to do is create yet another family that allows me to place this one and then just drag it across to repeat that element as many times over as I need. So that's going to be my next strategy. That'll be a little bit more complicated, but here we go. I'm going to show how to do that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is go right back into our family. There it is. And let me explain one thing that I kind of forgot to mention. Another benefit of doing things this way is that if there's anything I don't like about my Corbel, all I have to do is come into this family, change it, load it into my project, and any of the updates that I've made will automatically show up here. So all those changes will be reflected on every single instance. That's really convenient when you want to fix something, and especially in 3D printing where you decide to make a change near the end of the project. Okay, but anyways, right now, again, what we want to do is array this project, or array the modeling that we've already done. And it's actually going to be a little bit different than what I had described. I think we're not going to be able to just draw a line over, but it's still going to be very convenient. The way I want to do this is select everything here, and then we're going to make this a group. GP, you can type in GP or just click here. Okay, and group, we don't need to name it. Group is fine. Okay, and then we're going to array it right here in the family, AR for array, and we want to change this so that it's the second one this time, and I'm going to pull it from one end over here to the other. And I'm not so sure that having it centered is the best thing anymore. You know, maybe it would be fine to do it from this edge. What I mean is moving this first instance so that that edge is right in the center crosshair. You can experiment and decide what you think is best. For right now, I will leave it alone, but centering it isn't always the best solution. Okay, and the number here isn't really important. It says 2 right now. I'll change it to 4. I'm just picking a number at random. And what I need to do is select one of these so that this little branch shows up and I can see the number 4. I'm going to click right here on the branch, not the number, just the branch. And I'm going to add a label, which is essentially giving this a parameter that can be adjusted when we load it back into our project. So add a parameter, we'll call it number of corbels. I'm going to make this an instance parameter, which means every time we do this, we can change the number of corbels that exist every time we place one of these. And I'll click OK. And we have to give this one a different name, right? We've got that individual corbel, but I think I would like this one to be called family. We'll call this one corbel array. All right. And it's also important to note that these are all groups based on the first one. So if I go in and I change the first one, then it should update every single one thereafter. That's convenient, but not necessary right away. Okay, now I'm going to load this into my project. And let's go into 3D. Whoops, I accidentally placed it on the ground right there. We'll go into 3D, and once again I think I'll replace the old original. See if I can select just the one instance like that. Won't be needing that one anymore. And then because we put in an array and made it a parameter, I can go over here and tell it exactly how many I want. So let's just say I need 7 of them. I'm going to delete that. I don't need that anymore, and I don't really think I need this anymore. And we'll go back to the front. I might need to do some realigning. I'm going to move this over. And that's supposed to start off. Whoa, what happened there? I better go check that out in 3D. Nothing bad, just looks weird in the front elevation. Anyways, I moved that over, and it's supposed to do something like this, where it starts on one of the pilasters and should end over here on another pilaster. It looks like it's not really doing exactly what I wanted, but I've gone too far at this point to start over, so I'll just shift it like so, and I'll have one extra one. And that's okay. It's okay because the pilaster will cover up most of this. And when you're 3D modeling, when you're modeling for a 3D print, any overlapping geometry is just fine. It doesn't cause a problem. And the pilaster would just simply be an extrusion. I probably wouldn't do that one as a family, although I could. But the pilaster, which we don't see now because I've hidden the SketchUp model. In fact, I think that's why I can't see all of my corbel. It's because the SketchUp model's in the way. Let me hide it here too, like that. There we go. I'm going to undo that and just create a quick pilaster so you can see how that would be done. We'd be model in place all over again, generic model, and we'd have to, I guess I could name this one, we'd have to remember that I need to pay attention to what I'm building on. So I'm going to pick a plane. Now I'm building on that wall, and this is just a simple extrusion. There's not really much to it. I'm going to go all the way down. Accept that. Let's check it out in 3D. And I need to pull it back. I think this should just match the depth of my corbels. And I'm trying to snap to my corbels. It finally let me. And then when I finish the model there, these two are just going to overlap with each other. And like I said, that's really not a problem for a 3D printer. It might be better if it will let me. I'll join the geometry and it'll just look cleaner. Well, it looks a little bit cleaner. But anyways, that is the idea. And it makes repeat objects really fast and really simple. I can create this again on any side, any face of the building. Right now you can see it's not actually attaching to these other faces. All I need to do is place on face, and then I can put that anywhere. As for this pilaster, I could actually create that now as a family if I wanted to, and then it would be really easy to place it around the building too. I'd do the same thing. I'd just place it down here so that it's attached to that face, that horizontal plane, and then I would load that or copy it into another family environment. So anyways, I hope that gives you a great idea of how to do things in a way that should be time-saving, should allow for repeat, and over time, as you get good with these tools, it really makes things fast and efficient. And that wraps up the corbel instruction. In my next videos, I'll show you how to do sweeps.